People are not shy to talk negatively about something. Unfortunately, they're very slow to talk positive. Like a wildfire, they are so quick to talk negative. Remember, you don't get to do whatever you want in a franchise. Go to the FDD, look at the table and study. Don't be emotional, do your research. You still need to build it, and don't underestimate this. Hey everyone, welcome to Courtside Conversations. My name's Emile, founder and owner of Little Boomers Basketball, and it's a pleasure to be your host today. Wherever you're watching today's episode, I hope you're having a booming day, and yes, the pun is intended. My journey to entrepreneurship started on May 1st, 2018 when I launched my first basketball program with 9 kids enrolled. Today, thousands of kids across Australia are thriving in our programs, all thanks to the commitment and passion of our incredible franchisees. This podcast is here to give you real, straightforward, no BS insights into business, entrepreneurship, and what it's like to own a franchise. Without further ado, let's get into today's episode. So the other day I was speaking to somebody interested in franchising, and they asked what the initial investment was, and I said the initial investment at the moment for a franchise is between 50 to 60K. And they asked what that's included, and I gave it everything that's included. And then they said, okay, so that's it. I pay 50, 60K and I don't have to worry about anything for the next 5 years. I said, no, there's also a royalty fee. And they said, oh, royalty fee? What's a royalty fee? 10% of what you make comes back to head office. All franchise companies got a royalty fee. We have 10% of your sales revenue and we reinvest that back into it. And they're like, oh, royalty fee? I had no idea about this. What other things do I need to pay for? In today's episode, we are going to be talking about 5 things that you don't know about franchising that you need to know right now before you go into a franchise. And in that example call, the gentleman I was speaking to did not know that there are other fees associated in franchising other than the initial investment. So let's get into today's episode. All right. 5 things you didn't know about franchising. Number 1, your upfront investment won't be the only fee that you pay in the lifetime of the franchise. Please don't think that the initial investment, like that gentleman I said before, that 40 to 50,000 or whatever it is the only fee that you need to pay for the lifetime of the investment. Lifetime of the franchise, I should say. Most franchise companies, okay, have a royalty fee, which is ongoing. Like I mentioned before, that might be fixed or a percentage. We'll talk about that in another video. There's probably most likely a marketing levy, which is pretty much a set amount of dollars that you need to pay to the franchisor for continuous marketing. There's training day fees, right? Most franchise companies, good ones, do training days and they share those costs around with the franchisees. And there's usually a fee associated with support. So for example, if the operations manager comes down to do a field visit to make sure all your business is running well, there may be a fee associated with that. But the main messaging is, don't think that the upfront investment is the only fee that you need to pay. And also, you got to pay for a lot of your day-to-day expenses. All of that is covered by the franchisee. You are a business operator. And a lot of people will say to me on the phone, because we're in the children's sports industry, do I pay for the coaches' wages and the court hire fees, or does the franchisor pay for it? I said, no, you're the franchisee. You'll be paying for all of your bills, which in our industry, the highest one is coaches' wages and court hire fees. That's the responsibility of the franchisee. And every industry is a bit different. You may be paying for rent, whatever it is. But just remember, you are a business owner. You'll be paying for all the day-to-day expenses that the franchise incurs. Now, number 2 is you don't get to do whatever you want in a franchise. Now, a lot of people come into a franchise thinking that it's the same as starting their own business. And that couldn't be further away from the truth. You need to be following the guidelines that is given by the franchisor, the way of doing things that is set by the franchisor. And don't forget that there are ways of doing things, guys. And I'll give you an example. We're in the children's industry space. We service primary school kids ages 3 to 12. Franchisees will come to us and say, I want to do high school kids, like 13 years old plus. We don't cater for that. And that's not in our ethos and in our vision right now. So a franchisee just can't come up to us and just say, you know what, I'm going to do a high school program. They have to run it by the franchisor, and it's up to our discretion whether we want to do it or not. But ultimately, the decision lies with us. So just remember, you don't get to do whatever you want. Another great example is prices. Who sets the prices? The franchisee or the franchisor? The franchisor sets the prices. So for example, in any company, there's prices for different products. We set that. We might do a price increase every year like all companies do. Let's say, for example, we decide to increase the prices of our basketball program. Say we want to take it up to $195 to $215. You as a franchisee might not be happy with that, right? Because you're probably thinking, oh, I don't want to lose customers. I don't want to do. But ultimately, it's a decision for the franchisor. Now, a good franchisor isn't going to put your business at jeopardy. It's going to take you and all the other franchisees into understanding. They're going to take that all into consideration and they're going to be very reasonable. But at the end of the day, it's up to them. So just remember, you don't get to do whatever you want in a franchise. 5 things you don't know. Number 3, in the franchise agreement, this is really important. There's a section called the FDD. It's called the Franchise Disclosure Document. Okay, this is mandatory under the Code of Franchising. In the Franchise Disclosure Document, there is a table. In that table, it lists all the possible fees that the franchisor can charge you, the franchisee. And so many people, when they're interested in franchising, do not look at this table. They overlook it. I don't know why. And then later on, when they're in the franchise and they get an invoice for marketing or an invoice for this or whatever, they're like, what the heck is this for? Why am I getting charged for this? But all this time along, it was in this table that's located in the franchise disclosure document. So please, if you're getting close to signing a franchise, go to the FDD, the franchise disclosure document, look at the table and study all the possible expenses that the franchisor can charge you so that you don't get caught off guard. Don't be emotional, do your research. Hey, just quickly, if you're enjoying today's episode, it will mean the world to me if you can leave a positive review or share it with a friend that may benefit from this. I've also put some bonus resources in the description, including a real franchise case study that you can download under our Franchise Success Blueprint. Hope you find it useful. Enjoy the rest of the episode and rock on. Adios. Number 4 of 5 things you don't know about franchising is you still need to build it. And don't underestimate this. So many people think because they're coming into a franchise, Emile said it's a business in a box, everything's done for me, there's systems, there's marketing. I can just sit down here and just relax and not do anything. That couldn't be further from the truth. You still need to build a franchise. And it's a lot of work, just as much work as starting your own business. But you've got a brand behind you and hopefully good support systems. But you still need to build it. The analogy I like to use is the franchisor, which would be me. We're the architect. We've created the blueprints, the systems, the structure. The franchisee, you're the builder. You take what the franchisor has built and you go to work and you take it into that territory and you expand it. Franchisor is the architect. Franchisee is the builder. But please, you still need to build it. Don't underestimate the work of starting a new franchise. Finally, number 5 of things that you don't know about franchising. The franchisor is here to support you or should be here to support you and has your best success in mind, but will intervene if you're off track. If you're jeopardizing the brand, if you're doing things, if you're going rogue in the franchise, maybe you're not caring about the franchise as more. It's the job of the franchisor to protect the brand of the company. That is my job. My job right now is to protect the brands of the company. And I'll give you a classic example that I mentioned earlier on. I was speaking to my cousin. I won't name the business. And she was telling me how she ate a sandwich from a company and got severe violent food poisoning to the point where she was hospitalized for 5 days. And in her mind, she thought she was going to die. She's never experienced any type of this level of food poisoning. Now, I eat from this company, and I'm going to be honest with you, when I heard this story, I said, I ain't going to this company anymore. Like, that scared the heck out of me. Think about what that has done, what that chain reaction of one negative experience has done to the network. Can you see how it's in the best interest for the franchisor to make sure all franchisees are maintaining the standards of a brand? And I'll give you another example that's in our industry. Let's say you live in this area, call this area Area A, for example. And franchisee is running basketball classes in Area A and isn't delivering a good experience. There's too many kids on the court, the quality of the session's not good, the coaches aren't great, right? And you've got Area B right next to it that's owned by another franchise. Do you think the poor quality service of Area A is going to affect Area B? Have a think about it. Of course it is. Of course it is. Area B is going to suffer because of the poor quality of Area A. At the end of the day, whenever you've got a poor product or service, people are not shy to talk negatively about something. Unfortunately, they're very slow to talk positive, but believe me, like a wildfire, they are so quick to talk negative. So the franchisor, in order for the success of the whole network and the brand reputation of the whole network, needs to make sure that each franchisee is delivering an exceptional service in accordance to the brand standards. So just understand that if you go rogue, if you drop those standards, right, even just a little, the franchisor will intervene as they should to make sure that you elevate and come back to that level of standard. So guys, I hope you enjoyed today's episode of 5 things you didn't know about franchising but should. I'm going to go over those 5 things and summarize it. Number 1, your upfront investment won't be the only fee that you pay in the lifetime of the franchise. Number 2, you don't get to do whatever you want. Okay, you're not starting your own business, you're joining a network. Number 3, in the franchise agreement, under the franchise disclosure document, please read the table of all the fees that the franchisor can charge you so that you don't get caught off guard. Number 4, you still need to build it. Don't underestimate this. You as a franchisee, take what the franchisor, the architect has created and get to work with it. And number 5, the franchisor is here to support your success, but will intervene if you are off track. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. In my next episode, I can't wait to share this one with you. What I wish I knew before buying a franchise. Take care. Have a good week. God bless.